We have tonight, or this afternoon in their time, Srimati Priya Didi and her two daughters, Srimati Radha Priya Didi and Srimati Revati Didi. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to North Carolina, where Radha Priya is, and she's going to start out first. So just by way of a brief introduction, Radha Priya was born as a devotee, very fortunate, and she met Srila Gurudeva in 1996, same year as me, and she took Harinam the following year and Diksha in 2001. So please take 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes at your leisure to glorify Srila Gurudeva, and a very, very warm welcome. And remember, you're only just, this isn't really public speaking, you're just speaking to your intimate family, brothers and sisters. So please be very relaxed and please offer your Pushpanjali. Haribol. Haribol, Didi. Welcome.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Maum Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyamane Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Narayane Tinamane Panchakopa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I wrote down some of my memories that I wanted to share with you today about Srila Gurudeva. My first memory of Srila Gurudeva was in '96, his first trip to the West. After class, I went up to his room with my mother and listened to her pour her heart out. I was 14. Gurudeva was full of loving, soft sweetness. He simply said, "I have come for your heart." It was clear he was not looking for name, fame, recognition, or riches. He simply came to offer our hearts at the lotus feet of Yugala Kishore. The next time I met Srila Gurudeva was in Oakland, California. I didn't understand the meaning of guru. I had grown up in the Hare Krishna movement and felt a strong connection and relationship to Krishna. My first words as a baby were Prabhupada. I learned to read in Gurukul from the Bhagavad Gita. I had many dreams about Krishna showing his form to me, guiding me, and protecting me. I had no idea what the purpose of Guru was. I thought Krishna was all I needed. My mother and the devotees were encouraging me to take Harinam from Srila Gurudeva. I did not feel qualified. I did not feel ready, and I didn't understand the purpose of Sri Guru. I was afraid of being a rascal disciple, but I took the plunge anyway. Srila Gurudeva gave my mother, sister, and I Gopal Mantra and Harinam and placed Tulsi Devi around our necks. During that trip, Gurudeva had noticed my long teenager fingernails and had told me that I should not be like an animal and have long nails. This is something I struggle with to this day and wonder how even the simple instruction of not having long nails can be hard to follow. My first trip to India with Srila Gurudeva was when I was 19. We went to Jagannath Puri with Gurudeva for Purushottam. I was happy to be in the association of Gurudeva and his devotees. After this trip, I felt part of Gurudeva's family and no longer an outsider. Gurudeva had beautiful blue eyes like Srimati Radhika, and he would sit outside the temples with us that would not allow Westerners. He would say, "I am like you. I have blue eyes. I am a Westerner." And it was felt that the real treasure was being with Srila Gurudeva. He was the jewel. Krishna was not behind any temple walls. He was sitting before us in the heart of his beautiful disciple. I prayed to always remain close to Srila Gurudev's lotus feet. In Govardhan, he taught me to give up worldly desires. He had told us that we should pray to have our desires removed from our hearts. Krishna wants us to be happy, and he will fulfill all our desires. His name is so powerful, it can grant anything. So we must be careful what desires live in our hearts. We do not want to take birth after birth, fulfilling our material desires that are a web of entanglement. Before Brajmandal Parikram, Gurudev went to a mott in Haridwar on the banks of the Ganges. With my mother and a few women devotees, we secretly traveled to see Gurudev. It was very special to have that close time with him on the banks of the Ganges. He told us to wake up early every morning and have bath in her sacred waters. He taught us that our only mothers were Radha and Krishna's mothers, and that we should not worship the Ganga as Ma. This time with Gurudev was a very sweet interlude amidst the bustle of Parikram, where hundreds of pilgrims had gathered from around the world to perform the sacred mandal with Srila Gurudev. It was at this time that I asked him to become his Diksha disciple. I learned that this initiation is what ties the knot between
Radha Priya, your sound's gone. Didi?
Didi Sevakunj paintings.
Uh,
These
Radha Priya?
life-size paintings.
Haribol?
Yeah.
Sorry, your sound went for about 45 seconds. If you just go back slightly so we don't miss any of your beautiful content.
Okay. So I'm not sure where it stopped.
Just maybe go back, say, a couple of paragraphs.
All right. Before Brajmandal Parikram, Gurudev went to a mott in Haridwar on the banks of the Ganges. With my mother and a few women devotees, we secretly traveled to see Gurudev. It was very special to have that close time with him on the banks of the Ganges. He told us to wake early every morning and have bath in her sacred waters. He taught us that our only mothers were Radha and Krishna's mothers, and that we should not worship the Ganga as Ma. This time with Gurudev was a very sweet interlude amidst the bustle of Parikram, where hundreds of pilgrims had gathered from around the world to perform this sacred mandal with Srila Gurudev. It was at this time that I asked him to become his Diksha disciple. I heard that this initiation is what ties the knot between Guru and disciple birth after birth. Back in Vrindavan, outside Srila Gurudev's room in Sri Keshavaji Gaudiya Mat, I waited outside with my flower plate offering next to Shamarani Didi's Sevakunj paintings. These life-size paintings are a depiction of my Srila Gurudev's heart. He asked Shamarani if she could paint his heart and posed for these sacred paintings that revealed pastimes we had never heard before. In Gurudev's room, I sat with a handful of devotees who also received Diksha. He explained the mantras to us word for word and practiced reciting them with us. After the initiation, Gurudev handed me the mantras he had been holding in his hand. I felt special to be handed these mantras directly. In Varshana, I was in my first ever play for Gurudev. I was reluctant and shy, but agreed to play the part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Roy Ramananda Samvad. I dressed in saffron robes and walked through the streets of Arshana to the Pandal tent. On the way, many villagers did pranams to me. This was funny to me. The play is significant for me because the last time I saw Srila Gurudev, he had just published Roy Ramananda Samvad and signed a copy for me. Another sweet memory of Gurudev is from Miami. I was feeling like a bad disciple and had a private meeting with Gurudev where I expressed my feelings. He quelled my worries and doubts and told me that my heart was already at the feet of Radha and Krishna. He had already offered my heart to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, and I had nothing to worry about. In Mexico City, after the mariachis had played to welcome Gurudev, he spoke a few words and said, "I have come to write on your hearts with golden letters forever. These special words will remain etched on my heart forever." In Hawaii, I had the great fortune to make a garland for Srila Gurudev's photo shoot. My son was a baby at the time, yet I was able to make this special garland for Gurudev. Now every time I open his songbook, I see him wearing my special offering and am brought back to that day filled with mercy when Gurudev wanted to hold my baby in the photo shoot. I was reluctant to hand over my baby. His diaper was ready to explode, and as I had set aside my motherly responsibilities as to not miss out on any of the moments. This comical moment is remembered every time I see the photo in Srila Gurudev's publications. And when I go to the garden swing in New Bruges, where my son had his grain ceremony, there sits the photo of Srila Gurudev wearing the garland, and I am reminded of that special day in Hilo. I pray that these impressions stay within the garden of my heart and continue to bring me closer to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Thank you for this opportunity to share a few words. I hope these memories will continue to spark more and more memories within your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. You know, in these memories, it's not just what people say, but it's how they say it too. And, you know, a lot of people are very shy when we ask them to speak. And we try to explain, you know, like we had one lady from Bolivia, and most of what she said was, "It's really amazing." She kept on saying, "It's really amazing," in this Bolivian accent. And she said it over and over again. But it was one of the best offerings because there was so much, you could feel so much heart in these simple words because her English wasn't very good. Mm-hmm. And so with the offerings, it's hard to pin down why each offering is so beautiful. And your offering was really beautiful. I really felt present throughout the whole of it. I didn't find my mind drifting at all. There are a few words, there are a few events, a few words you chose, which I thought were very significant, very beautiful. I thought the one that struck me the most was when you were in Miami and you said, oh, you felt you'd been a bad devotee, and you had a private meeting, and Gurudev allayed all your fears, and he said, your heart is already at the feet of, I think you said already at the feet of Radha, or Radha and Krishna, I can't remember which you said.
Yeah.
And that's just so magnificent because we have to remember that we're not qualified for any of it. Well, I'm not qualified. I don't think any of us feel qualified, but we know that Gurudev is qualified. Gurudev is qualified to do exactly that, to give us the mercy to bring us to Radha's feet. And all we need is a drop of faith that he can do that. And that will empower us. We don't even need to have full faith to start. We just have to have something. And that's like a spiritual muscle that will grow and grow. And Gurudev, as long as we endeavor something, Gurudev always reciprocates 1,000 times over. And I loved your expression. In fact, I'm writing a course at the moment that compares the heart to a garden and uses a lot of garden metaphors. So I love what you said about garden of my heart. And Gurudev, of course, is the chief gardener, and all we've got to do, we don't even have to garden. We just got to let him in. That's the secret. Just let him into the garden. And I also thought there was a metaphor in that funny anecdote about your baby in the diaper, because actually that's how we are with Gurudev. You know, we're just like babies in diapers for him, and that's why he never could get really angry with us, because spiritually that's who we are, and he's, in many ways, he's our mother, changing our diapers all the time. So I thought that was a beautiful address, and I'm very grateful for you for coming on and having the courage to share your heart with us. Thank you.